Good evening. Here it is, the winter solstice, the longest day, and the winter solstice full moon. My sources are telling me that the moon is doing things that it normally doesn't do. Seems to be closer to Earth. The size seems larger than normal. The light emanating brighter. There are other solar events. And if we go to Diamond's Oppenheimer Ranch, he does a very good job of looking at weather, our planetary weather, from a solar point of view. The fact we're in a solar minimum, thus going into a new little ice age. Things are very much right in front of our face, but very weirder than we are told to expect. That's advertised. I have gotten to the point when it gets dark, I go to sleep. When the sun comes up, I wake up. So, number one there, can you hear me? Am I coming in 5x5? I basically want to talk to the fact that things are moving so quickly. I mean, when you're a little child and you're out on summer vacation, those weeks seem to last forever. Now, as we get older, time flies by. Now, I've demonstrated through our meditations that time is irrelevant. You go into state, you go to your library, you go through the doors, you experience weeks of experience in what are just a few minutes here in our linear world. So, tonight, again, I want to exercise our abilities to overcome our disbelief, right? To suspend our disbelief. Oh, I can't do that. We are suspending our disbelief and proving to ourselves that we can do anything we put our minds to do. We can ascend, accomplish, co-create with love. And that we do not have to be stuck into the illusionary world of our mud puppet existence. And using, it's not my fault. My mommy did it. My daddy did it to me. Oh, my ex did it to me. Oh, I've been working so hard. I'm just so tired. Well, I'm tired all the time, but I step up. I move forward. I do like last night. I was again. I'm being tired by everyone's. Not yours, my adepts. You're great, but the general morale of the public. Ready to blame anyone other than themselves for the lack of what they're not accomplishing. And, Donald Trump, hello, W, Martin and Webb. We voted Donald Trump in. We allowed the illusion of Donald Trump being voted in. We allowed and accepted whatever moron that's put in a legislative position. Now, a good number of young different people have run for office, and the Democrats have won 40 seats in the House. But what are they going to do with it? And are those new 40 younger folk any different? Do they actually suspend their disbelief, or do they just follow the rote doctrines of their belief structures? You know, does anyone within the meat puppet modality think outside the box? Now, there's a tremendous amount of things going on all around us, technologically, you know, philosophically, organically, and and there are tons of different groups. The hidden hand, the powers that shouldn't be, and a number of social and historical events have occurred, and no one questions anything. You know, we've been at war in Afghanistan for going on 18 years. And staying there or pulling out, it almost doesn't matter. The tremendous amounts of money being spent on weapon systems that are already obsolete before they get fielded. The stock market, running up and down like a roller coaster. All of these things that are supposed to be somewhat of a foundation to the world that we live in. And none of this makes sense. When you step back and look at it, none of this makes sense. So why do we accept it? Why don't we question what's going on? Why don't we put forth other points of view? Why, I was talking about, my friend at Cornell, a philosopher, theologian, and his works, and and these are like not even thought of, The only if you were representing some version of a tribe, whenever you're trying to, in the scholastic world, go after big, like, anyone who wants to investigate UFOs or, you know, paranormal psychology or, supernatural events, you are laughed out of things. And if you're looking at history, like all of some of the greater historians were looking at history on a extraterrestrial motif, that these gods were actually coming from someplace else. They got laughed out of the room. And, when you look at things like cold fusion, I was at a conference at MIT, and there were many universities that had working models of it. And the man who ran the physics department at MIT walked out on stage and said, listen, anybody who thinks this works is a fool. Anyone who pursues it will lose their job. And everyone shelved cold fusion for almost 30 years. And we went to the moon 40 years ago, and all we can get is, the space station. You have to, and there's tremendous amounts of money. Where did that trillion go? Where did that trillion go? The day before 9/11, Rumsfeld went in front of a news folk and said, oh, by the way, the Defense Department has lost $2.3 trillion. We'll get to the bottom of it. And then the next day, the Pentagon gets attacked. And the one area of the Pentagon that had just been remodeled and nobody was in it, that was where the group who were the bean counters, who had all of the documentation, all of the floppy disks, all of the everything And they were tracing down where did that money go. Bango, they all die. All the documentation burnt up. Oops. I mean, 9/11, right off the bat, should have, never in history has a concrete steel building collapsed because of fire. I mean, their buildings had been burning for days where everything burnt up and still didn't collapse. And really, the fires in those buildings were very limited. The South Tower, most of the fuel burnt out on the outside of the building. Those buildings were taken. I worked as an apprentice Local 3 electrician on those buildings. And they were indestructible. The center core was like 120 feet by 120 feet of steel beams the size of 20 feet by 20 feet. And there were rows of them all the way around, and the elevators were in the center of it. And it was all poured concrete around it. It was a building out of a building. And the exterior were these unbelievably hard-case steel structures. That's why the windows were so narrow. And the airplanes shouldn't have even penetrated the building. Those aircraft, the 757, 767, are basically thermos bottles with wings on it. I mean, all you have to do is go to the site, Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth. Those guys have taken it apart. Whenever I used to be a fireman, and whenever there was a fire, we had a fire inspector that did, an investigation. There was no investigation on the World Trade Center. Building 7 collapsed. Nothing hit it. I mean, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. It goes on and on and on, and it's all right in front of our face. It's a ceremony. It is a sacrifice. There are many different occult, esoteric things going on here. And we are, when I started the session of the 40 days and 40 nights, I said this is a window. And we are, going to have, events occurring in rapid succession that will do more and more. I mean, just look what happened this last week. The issues dealing with Trump. How did he even become president? I mean, this was a setup like you can't believe. Bernie should have won the Democratic thing, but he was allowed to be cheated. If he ran against Trump, we would having a Bernie presidency. And that's the guy who's been in the Senate for many years. He had a lot of experience, been on many committees. Donald Trump is a petulant child. And I don't really, I don't have any belief or opinion in any of this. I'm just observing what's going on, right? And, Donnie was, he was the apprentice on TV. That's what, that was about him being the apprentice. So here we are, right? In a very interesting little time in history. And we are here as not only observers, but we are like astronauts in history, time, and space, and we have the ability to affect a positive outcome in the subtlest of ways. And in physics, you have the electromagnetic field, you have the gravitational field, you have a number of other fields, but there's the strong and the weak force. And of all those things that combine to make our physical world that we see, the weak force is the most profound and powerful. So we are that weak force that is more profound and powerful. So we're in it for 15 minutes. We got about 6 people here. We'll wait a few more. So I want a little feedback from you guys. And gals, on what you're feeling, right? I just kind of get you a little litany, and this comes from not just from my point of view, but my point of view is always kind of comes from my observation of other people, right? And I am sussing out what the real picture is by the experience of people's, feedback. So, what are you feeling about this, and where you are and what you're doing? You know, I know you're just settling in here, and you're lining up, but come on, it's now 16 minutes. I prattled on enough. We're this is the longest day of the year. This is the winter solstice. This is of all of the, you know, Celtic and Germanic and Nordic religions. This is the high point. That's why, Jesus was a Virgo. He was born in September. He wasn't born in December. But this is the high holy period of time for this Gaia based religious structure of early human tribal history. So, what do you guys think? Come on, don't be shy. Thank you, Jane. Me too. And it's really great to always project that energy of love, harmony, and celebration and see the effect on how it affects people instead of being always smiling, always, beaming out that joy. It really does have an effect. And Merry Christmas to everybody. And bad and good is almost irrelevant, except when it comes to our actions. Then bad and good has a relevance. But to try and judge bad and good, that's almost irrelevant. Presents itself fast. But how about the last few nights when we were in meditative state? Again, it's almost irrelevant what happens to Donnie. The most important thing about Donnie is that he is the ex-lax of the body politic. He is bringing right in our face. He's no more corrupt, no more dishonest, no more of a thief and a liar. That the rest of the political structure. We have the best politicians money can buy. They represent. We live in a corporate world. We're not in a democracy. We don't even live in a planet of nation states. We're in a cabal of corporate entities that represent the hidden hand that you don't even see, that has more to do with the comic book character of the Red Skull and Hail Hydra. And it's not even fear, it's confusion, disruption, disconnection, and separation. Those are the physical characteristics that manifest the fear. Anxiety, right. And now we are here as a cadre, and we have to deconstruct this to understand it so we can create an alternative technology that's aesthetically bound via the harmony of our soul. And that's what all of this is about. This is a war over our souls. I'm always serious, even though I'm always smiling. Well, there are, there has been a presence of an AI in every one of our chats. So, and with the onslaught of G5 and the dusting of humanity from chemtrails of nanotechnology and our everything, we are being programmed, you know, and FDR said there's nothing to fear but fear itself. I mean, come on, really, we need to fear folks coming from Mexico? I don't think so. The largest, drug dealers, the CIA. It's not, who made all of these gangs? Who made this? You know. Exactly. Thank you. Galaxy Tab S2. It's time to reflect right now on things about how to change for the positive. And the reflection should be from our point of view, not in a, me point of view, but my perspective on how I can help co-create love's love. Yes. Again, intent is the clear tool, and most people's intent is being venal. Yes, the veil is getting thinner. Now, see, we are in a really positive place here, in that we have great opportunities, Definition, yep. Mike, why don't you Krishnamurti us, What would Krishnamurti see as the opportunity? And amongst us, we don't have to be sorry. We just have to be empathetic. Sorry is my second wife used to say, saying sorry is not good enough. Good place to start from, but don't do it again. What do you mean, Jane? Be alone and bored, Krishnamurti. It's in quotes, so that's what, I'm never bored or alone, because I'm always trying to, or moving forward within the context of co-creation with love. Oh, I can kind of get you now. So let's see. Be alone and bored, meaning that is the element of quieting yourself, right? If you can go past being alone and bored, shut the squirrel down, be at that place where most people feel alone and bored, and go past it. I would say fear being the direct cause of suffering. Yeah, because if you're not scared of stuff, you're not suffering, And what you're doing is you're dealing with, there are things you can deal with, and then there's things you can't. So start with dealing with the things you can deal with. Right. Be alone, but not lonely. Exactly. A singular, right? And then, by being that singular experience, you can experience everyone else in all our relations because we're all part of that great link. And we don't have to be separated to experience that presence of quietness. I guess lonely would be severe quietness. But the more we quiet ourselves down, we don't let ourselves be distracted. That's when we see the immensity of the universe and our place in it and all of that great energy and love and amazing ability to grow and move forward. Lonely is the soul that cannot be alone. I like that. So, maybe that might be a place where we start with our meditation. Lonely is the soul that cannot be alone. So, I think that may be one of the doorways that we're going to investigate. The third doorway, counting down from 9. So let's go into state. Well, let's talk some more. Yeah, normally it's the things we don't understand. Probably fear of the unknown is the worst. Right, because, I embrace the unknown. I want to know the unknown, so I'm not scared of it. I embrace it. I lean into it. Exactly. It is our place, not so much to control, but navigate. There's a big difference between control and navigate. Control is the illusion, like you can make X, Y, or Z happen. Navigating is you're steering around and taking advantage of things that a lot of people would think is scary and a threat. But that unknown is what we lean into to understand the bigger picture. We give into our fear and not take the responsibility to navigate our life forward. No, and you're not expected to. Winning isn't really the name of the game. Experience in the playground. Why did when I was in grammar school, our playground was like, a death trap. We had a unbelievably tall jungle gym, almost 2 stories high, and it was built on concrete. If you fell off that thing, man, you bounced off those metal pipes and then smashed in the concrete. We had one of those merry-go-rounds that was like, something NASA had. It would, if you weren't holding on and the kids were running real fast with it, man, you'd be flying off the sucker. And the swings, we had these big long swings that, were on these 2-inch pieces of pipe that went up about a story. And the chain was, 20 feet long, and you could like. I remember one time, Richard Lasco, who was like he was the monkey they sent up in the space capsule. He actually went all the freak. I mean, he was swinging so hard that he went all the way around. And none of us seemed to. I remember playing. They had this this baseball field that was like basically concrete and stones, and you ran down this hill. We played kickball, and you'd run down and you'd kick it. I remember the pitcher would throw it, first, second, third base, and you'd run. It was like baseball with a kickball. And I remember every time we did it, if you were kicking the ball, you were trying to hit the person who was pitching rolling the ball at you in the head so it would knock them out. I mean, it was like, and it's not so much you tried it, but it was almost impossible not to hit them in the head. It was so. I mean, you could have been in that playground going, oh no, today. I mean, half that stuff, they don't have any of that stuff. We had this slide that was about 40 feet long. You were doing about 80 miles an hour when you got to the bottom. And if any kid was standing down there, they would, you know. Exactly. If you were just standing around kind of going, you would get hit. If you were just like having a good time and running through it, you know. Richard Lasco, I'm amazed he lived past sixth grade. The flow. If you're in the flow, you're in the know. This is true. So we're in a playground here, and we're not here to win it. We're in it to understand, to grow, to ascend. That's what we're here. So, you know, my basic attitude, I learned really young, like probably about 4, that okay, if it didn't work out, what did I learn from that? And I found the more I could learn from something, it was way better than if, hey, that was cool. I mean, I had so many friends who did, could just breeze through tests. I was never a good test person because I wanted to understand, why are we taking this test? What does this question really mean? And I would go up to the teacher and ask the question, what is this question? What do they really want to know? Just answer the question. No, but I was always wanting to know the deeper story, the deeper secret. Most people don't. They just want to win, get an A on the test. When I was a professor, and I once in a while, hey Al, can you teach intro this or intro that? And I said, yeah. I'd leave my little research facility, and I would go teach that. So I get $100 a class, and you give me a student assistant, right? Okay. And on my syllabus, I would say, I guarantee you an A. Just show up. No tests, no quiz, no papers, no textbooks. And small print, if you miss more than 3 classes, you fail. No excuse. I don't care if grandma died. And then in smaller things, if you ask me, is this going to be on the quiz? You fail immediately, right? So that'd be my syllabus. I'd put it out there. And, the first day I'd have like 100 people. I guarantee you an A, just show up. They showed up. I'd make them, stand in a line and count off from 1 to 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4. Well, if you got to, where, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, if you didn't say 1 and you said 8, you were gone. If you couldn't count from 1 to 7, you were gone right away. And those were all people who wanted to win. Right? They didn't want to work. They didn't want to learn anything. They didn't want to become a better person or to ascend. Those are why we're here in the playground, right? And that's why you come to this chat. You're not coming here to win. You're trying to ascend, to understand, right? And that's why we've been doing, meditative, guided. But as those who've been here know that I just kind of ease you into the slipper and then you take it from there, you know? I get you to your Akashic record. I sit you down at your reading table, but you deal with your librarian, your animal totem, your guardian angel, and whatever master comes out of the fireplace to take you through the doorways. So you've all who have been taking part of this, you've been able to envision your library through your breath, and you've seen your Akashic record and your past lives, and you've been able to put your anxieties into the book so you have no fear. You first went to the first door that was open. There was no door, it was just a doorway, and that was the doorway to your superconscious mind, the sanctuary of your own choosing, where you go over the bridge of your id. And, you saw many things that connected to your higher self. Think of the modern term NPC, non-playing characters, in essence, people who are automatic draws. Well, you know what those guys are. So we have, like I keep calling it, the hidden hand, right? This cabal, that has been, playing the game or playing us poor humans, for at least 1,000,000 years, right? And we humans are somebody's, Earth entities from other dimensions, other times, other universes have come here and discovered that Earth, Gaia, is a place where you put something here, like an ugly bag of water or a meat puppet, it animates, right? And it's, if you do it correctly, it is the vessel for the soul, right? So those folks that you called NPCs, what those guys are, they are someone's experiment that hasn't quite reached the capabilities that we have. So there's a number of the insectoids have been at the top of the pyramid of the human historical relevance of probably the last 16,000 years. And before them, there were other folk who showed up and, basically manufactured us. We are somebody's lab experiment, If you look at our DNA, and even though it's somewhat like the rest of the species, there's a whole bunch of it that's not. And where did that come from? And those morons want to call it junk DNA? I don't think so. A humanoid? Maybe. I would call it a what I've observed, and I've run into a number of these guys, especially in the 70s and 80s and 90s, and I would call them blended humans, meaning as people are abducted and their DNA is taken, there is a clone character that kind of looks like human, but, it has no ability to interact, within the human construct of social dynamics. Can't even tie its shoelaces, right? Now they're getting better and better, you know, and but they're, they can't even string a sentence together, but they can read your mind and make you do things. So that's an NPC if that's what they're called, but I call them blended humans. Yeah, more like human programs. Yeah. What do? They try to fit in. I mean, this is, this hidden hand it's more than an alien presence, but they are, conquering our little solar system, right? And they're doing, instead of doing it like Independence Day where they flow in and blow up our cities, no, it's more like the movie, John Carpenter's movie, they live, you know. They've been here a long time. They're selling us their crap. You know, they are easing us out and easing them in, you know. And it has a lot to do with our soul. There's a soul energy that, I keep talking about our prana, and they don't work on that. They relate in a whole different way. They have no empathy. They have no concept of love, you know. They can't create from love's co-creation. How weird. Well, no, it's just, it's not weird. It's just outside the box. They're not so much a projection of us, but, they are a copy of us, right? And they're the edifice. They're the edifice of the artifice. And the artifice of us is, we aren't even whole. We are separate. We are a spiritual being that has cut ourselves adrift from love's co-creation, right? We have free will, so we were allowed to do it. The great creator said, oh, you want to do that? Go ahead. And that's why this is a playground, right? And that's why there is a relevance of reincarnation. Because we're just here to learn, not to win, not to conquer, not to control. All those things are relevant and really a pretty, negative isn't even the right word, but it's, why would you want to do that? When you can, be in love's co-creation. Why do you want to be separate and lonely and stupid and being forced to do the same crappy thing over and over, And there are loads of people who do this. Freud said that the true sign of insanity is when you do the same thing over and over again and expect the same or a different outcome. Now, if you do certain things over and over again to understand all the different characteristics of that process, well, that's growth, that's understanding, that's moving forward. But if you, work terribly hard at the same thing and get nothing out of it, and you expect to become rich and famous, but I've done it for 50 years. I should be, I'm the best at it. No, obviously you're not the best, or you would have gotten some kind of resolution from this, but you don't. Yes, thank you. The Lucifer experiment. Yep, that's exactly what it is. Yep. Would you please, Mr. Samsung Galaxy Tab S2, give us the 411 on the Lucifer experiment? Excuse me. Well, come on, somebody. Lucifer experiment. That's, I was. But you create anything you want, even evil. But why evil is a potential is because that creative source is separation rather than love's co-creation. Yeah, Satan's Lucifer, the light bringer. In the beginning, everything was dark, and then the word was heard, and it said, let there be light. Right? So Lucifer, is one of the great maker's creations. And this whole, I keep calling it the playground. There is no good or bad here. There is reference of, If you are co-creating with love, that's good, because that's bringing the group, all our relations, the collective soul forward, back to the connective tissue of the universe, right? And we have been set aside. We're in this little laboratory, right? Yes, can't sustain itself, but it has to feed on the essence of ones that are in connection with the source. Exactly. And that's why empires completely fail and have to completely all the time, use up all the resources. Instead of becoming sustainable, they just eat and eat and eat and eat and consume and consume and consume. And the Lakota story I told you about plum and corn, and the great monster was the monster of consumption. And I mean, that's why things like Amazon and online shopping, it's like, why do we shop anyway? Because we go someplace where we rub elbows with other people like ourselves, and we have experience. Well, you really don't have much experience if you're buying something on Amazon. I mean, it's more or less like masturbation, not even as good. The Hungry Ghost, exactement. Satan. And the only way we can heal this, and that's the term, not fight it, not win a war, but heal this, we have to forgive Satan, right? And we have to love Satan, not worship, but love Satan. All these other morons who think they're, the Illuminati and, Baal and blah, 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 they are, you know, viewing Satan as a god, and through that worship, they expect it's almost transitional, like a business plan. If you worship Satan, you're going to be rich and powerful and all controlling and all knowing, and that's part of the Satan's experiment is that the real thing that people are looking for is the knowing and the controlling of knowing. Mm-hmm. Yes. So tab two. I'm just going to say S2, S2. You're right there on the money when it's about love is the only fuel, and you starve to death because you're trying to get somewhere on an illusion. Afterlife is Satan? Nah, well, it's that's where things get complicated. If you go into the light, into that like wearing blender of the soul, yeah, that's kind of satanic. But if you stand at the event horizon of death, just like we did the other night, and we go through it to ascend, those who experienced the event horizon of death, you saw that it, A, was no big deal, and B, if you asked if you had that inquisitive mind, if you just didn't go along to get along, but you wanted to, you know, navigate yourself, and that's what whoever your master was who took you there was doing, was navigating by trying to understand, not control, but to understand and to co-create with love. Material associated with Satan. Yep. Jane, kind of elucidate on that one. Material associated with Satan. The oversoul. Okay. Well, the oversoul, Brunton really, go read him if you want to get a better idea. But my best definition of the oversoul is, when you put on clothes and you want to look, yes, materialism. When you want to look really cool and better, and you're going to work out and get that special look, and that's, instead of like trying to get to who and what you are, you go for this stupid look of the oversoul. It's like putting on an overcoat, you know. And that's why aesthetics is a little more important than taste, because taste is based on someone's opinion, and pretty much the oversoul is someone's opinion. Good day, Mr. Ab. Evening to you. And we're lining up here. So, we went into our superconscious mind. We went into fairyland. We went into through the event horizon of death. We went through the doorway of the darkness of the eight kings of magic, and we went into the existence of mystery. Right? And I was trying to tell you, when you do something really amazing, that's a mystery, right? It was known as the mystery EMF, because I dealt, I made power sources and dealt with electromagnetic forces, and I could develop things and tune things in ways that people were going, how do you do that? Because I became one with it. I co-created with love through it. Mystery schools, yep. And I think that might be a good doorway to go through tonight, the mystery school doorway. Because the mystery school, if you get caught up in the mystery, you're going to turn satanic. If you go to understand the mystery to serve love's co-creation, that's where we will have a sustainable understanding of what the playground's about. Yep, we're all well, Mr. Research. And we're just discussing, if you flip through the chat, we've gone and experienced a number of the doorways of the 9 doorways. And the mystery school doorway is the one where we're kind of going to go to tonight. And we're kind of talking about, the powers that be, and what's evil, what's good, what's satanic, materialism, our oversoul, material associated with Satan, afterlife of Satan. You have some feelings about the afterlife and Satan, I think, Mr. Research. So, let's talk about this a little further. Mystery doorway is fun. Well, fun. What the Sumerian translation of fun is? I used to be known as the minister of fun, right? And the two, if you deconstruct those words, ministry is the dogmatic total control, and fun is the ultimate distraction. So I had to stop being the minister of fun because I didn't want to be, the dogmatic control of the ultimate distraction. Your motives have to be clean because see, the real thing about alchemy, there's always a cost. You have to balance the equation. And the only way you can balance it is with love. No, it's not all negative. No, nothing is. It's the balance of everything with the co-creation of love. So there's, one man's good is another man's evil. The yin and the yang. Yep, all the time. Yeah. And love doesn't intrude on anyone's free will, right? And you go to love with your free will. Yeah, Rudolf Steiner, not Lebowski. And what's interesting, if you look at those two, they're almost the same. You know, if you stand back and blur your eyes, you couldn't tell the difference, but there is. And then what happens, the writings of Steiner are truly enlightening, and so are Blavatsky's, but she's coming from, that so above, so below, which again is not a big deal, except if you tighten it up with your ego. If your ego's the only thing there, yeah, that's a problem. And then you roll into people who are like dogmatic. Rudolf Steiner dudes and dudettes, and it's like, really? No, no, Mr. Research, you didn't. So what'd you get obsessive about? What were the things that were taking you away? Oh, break. Oh, yeah. Ball breakers are tough. Because, you don't want to break anyone's balls. Because then yours get broken. It's kind of I'm kind of always. I don't mess with people because it's too hard. It's ick. It's like no fun. It's like the wrong way. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's. I don't do anything. I don't make fun of people. I want to laugh with people, not at them. You know. Only because it's a lot more fulfilling to be sweet than nasty. Because what fires up nastiness is when you're selfish, when you're all you can think about is yourself, and what a boring thing that is. I wouldn't want to just think about me. I love thinking about everybody else because they're way more interesting. Yeah. I mean, when I was in ashram, what did I love to do? Clean house, rake the path, collect the wood, you know, cook, you know. Those were my meditations, and my sensei loved me for it because I was doing it for everybody, right? And I wasn't doing it because I think I made the thing, one of the things that was interesting. So we had a hot water heater that you had to feed wood into. And I mean, we had electricity in the farmhouse. I said, let me wire this up. And no, 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 firewood. No one else did it but me. So I said, fine, okay. I'm the electrician. I'll put the firewood in the wood stove. And everybody who would take a nice hot shower would like, oh, thank you, Al. That was so nice. Ooh. There were three folk who would use up all the hot water, right? And never even thank you. And they were the first three that Sensei asked, for them to leave because he wanted to take a shower. He went in there after this guy was in it, and he was like, came out. That was cold water. I said, Sensei, you could have made it. No, don't even give me that, Al. Hey, Bob, you're out of here. Larry, out of here. Mo, you're out of here. Shemp, out. It is, and I was thinking about Burton's little commune at Cornell, and that was what was so sweet about all those folks was Wisdom's goldenrod was how everyone came together, and every week we would read a book, in philosophy or whatever, and we would share our insights. So you had to read the book. You couldn't get the Cliff Notes because you're not getting any insight from Cliff Notes. There is no right answer with insight. But it was so amazing to share insights with each other. And that's, I used to always have, wherever I went, I would have salons. And in this town of Roanoke, I've tried a number of times to have salons, and for some reason, people really, I can parse with individual folk. Everyone, people love talking to me individually. But the only time I ever got a salon dynamic going was I went to this meeting when Occupy, a bunch of people, let's start Occupy. And there were about 100 people there, and they were like cats bumping into each other. And I just kind of walked in, and I just happened to, stand next to the guy who was trying to facilitate it, and I knew him, and he knew me. And I kind of nudged him with my elbow and said, and he had one of those wireless microphones, and I said, give me that. I said, this is this talking stick. When you have it in your hand, you talk into the microphone, everyone hears you, everyone else be quiet and listen. I'm going to hand it to my left, and that person will only talk about how they feel, what motivated them to come to this meeting, what they want to do in our community, how they want to take this idea of the Occupy movement and make it here. Hand it to that guy. And by the way, you can only speak for 2 minutes for this round because there's like almost 100 people here. We don't want to be here for the next 4 days. 2 minutes, that's it. If you got nothing to say, just pass it on to the next person. Went around, got back to me. Okay, so we're going to go around again and just speak a minute now because now your brains have been juiced up by everyone's conversation. What do you find most important about it? Now, we've just discussed what's most important. We have to break down into working groups, right? And I'm just going to throw out a few, and we're going to pass it around, and everyone can talk about the few I passed out, or if they have a couple more ideas to add to it. So what we need site coordinators, we need media coordinators, we need fundraising, banking, we need, security. Okay, let's break down, right? So within 4 hours, we had organized everything, soup to nuts. And that's because we used the Iroquois Great Law. I was speaking like we were from, in the Longhouse, and, the wireless microphone was the best feather I ever had. So that's what it takes to have that kind of salon motif or the motif of living in a monastery where everyone is equal, everyone works together, everyone's in the playground, and they're there to learn about themselves and how to ascend into their higher self. So, and that's what we're doing here. We're that salon. We are that, you know, monastery. We are that community. Let's see. We just keep seeking, putting the small pieces together. The big picture is all we can do, and hope we have proper grasp. And that's a proper grasp is grokking the situation as much as possible. And hope is a very interesting word, because a lot of people, do, don't, Yoda would say, do, don't try. But hope is the fuel of doing, you know? And hope is like belief, but without being dogmatic. Because the only way you can hope or use hope or have hope is with love. Belief is dogmatic through hate and fear. Do. BRB. What's that mean? Okay. We've been doing this for an hour and 6 minutes and 42 seconds. So let's be right back. Okay, thank you. Dragon, good to see you, bud. So at 11:11:11, we will start meditating. And we're going to go to the door of the mystery school. Okie dokie. Does everyone consent on that one? Does that sound like a good idea? We have a good 4 minutes or so to come to a consensus on this. Yep. Boom, 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 boom. Must continue. Okay. See, we still have about 4 minutes to continue. What time zone am I in? I'm in the US of A Eastern Standard Time. It is probably about 8 o'clock-ish. That's the other amazing thing about this. You guys are all over the planet. And I really don't know what you guys, species, gender, time zone, part of the planet, and that's what makes it fun. And that's what makes this very, our ashram here is planetary, not just in Putney, Vermont or New Jersey or wherever, but planetary. So that's why I kind of been, I had that little idea in my mind about everyone showing up at the deep green, just because it's so juicy and yummy. And the school here, I had a mystery school here, that John's school, but it's not John's school, it's the Hills School. And there's some serious ley lines that have gone through here. And this was one of Cherokee's most holy places. But with the death of Venga and my not being here, and that energy is still here. And so this kind of goes, I think we won't, whatever this takes me to take to explain this, and it should only take a few minutes. But so this place and places like it, like Findhorn and other, Wisdom's Goldenrod, that was another amazing place and still is. This place is a vessel. If there's nothing to put into it, the vessel gets tired, gets lonely, gets weak. Now, it's been a sacred place for thousands of years, so it has that historical sense. But because no one is feeding it with love except me, and I talk to, every morning that's why I get healed. That's why I can get out of bed and walk around, is that I meditate and I kind of connect with the hills energetics. And it's basically, told me, well, it's mostly gone. I'm going to another place, but, I still have a residual here. So and that's what, you know, people who are ghosts or demons or such, what they are really is putrefying vessels of the avatar of the higher conscious. And that's why residue of your life is stuck in your higher conscious, right? And that's why your Akashic record holds it. Okay, so here we are, 11, 11, 11. So everyone, big breath, in 20%, out 30. Focus your conscious mind on your breath. Let it go. And to breathe that 20% in, you have to occupy your conscious mind. So you can't you can't feed the little squirrel in your head. You can't give relevance to the mud puppet, to the illusion. And by breathing in that prana, filling your lungs and healing your body, you are reconnecting the connection with love's co-creation. And that's what illuminates you. And that is, Lucifer bringing the light to the darkness. When you go into your imaginary mirror, you can see the dynamic of the light. It's not bad. It's not evil. Lucifer trying to give enlightenment to the wayward soul that had already cut itself loose. I mean, Adam and Eve had already, with their free will, made that clip. And then, the creator of all things put their little nubile souls into the Garden of Eden and said that you can eat of any fruit but that tree of knowledge of good and evil. Well, that went on for a long time, and Satan, of course, being one of the higher avatars, was like kind of pissed off. Why do these newbies, these chuckleheads, get more of the great creator's love? Well, right there, Satan had already separated, just like the newbies here, but because he had been around the luminescence of love's one love, he felt a separation, right? And that's what is Lucifer's experiment. So he went and convinced, we chuckleheads, to eat of that fruit. And then, that's when we realized we were naked and we felt shame and we felt sin and guilt and all of those things that create fear, right? And all those things are irrelevant there because they don't exist, because nothing can exist without love's co-creation. And that's why we have been in the playground and the sandbox for so long, because it's up to us to realize this, right? So, one of the things that Satan's light does, it illuminates the shadow and gives us perspective. But we get caught up, just like all of the folk who came to my school They wanted to learn to be magicians and turn lead into gold and really stupid things like that. Not, they couldn't even feel the presence of the hill. You know, this presence that was here that has been sorely diminished since Inca died and I have left, and other mitigating factors, like chemtrails and the death of the forest. It's still here, but my students, and they weren't adepts. They were students, paid students. They wanted to matriculate. They wanted to give me $300 for a weekend, and I would give them a piece of paper saying that they were shaman. And I said, no, well, you kind of have to go through a process, wax on, wax off, step, sweep. And, I don't, is that to clean your house? I said, no, it's not cleaning my house. It's cleaning the hambu. It's cleaning, the sanctuary. It's cleaning your own soul. I realized when I was with my sensei in Putney that all the work I was doing, I was working on myself. I wasn't like heating water for somebody else that I might get paid. No, all of those chores I did with love in my heart, and it made me happy because I realized I was learning something deep. See it clearly. See it clearly. And we're all breathing that 20% in and breathing out 30%. We're breathing in the prana, and it's illuminating ourselves. See, and the prana is the power of love's co-creation. It isn't Lucifer's light per se. Love's co-creation is when you are in service to the higher collective of all our relations, where you are in service for, the tide rises lifting all boats, where you are in service not for yourself, but for the other, for the person who's on that corner begging, the other, the mother who has no place to shelter their baby, the other. They're all our relations. And love's co-creation. So one of the great laws of the great maker is nothing can be created without love in co-creation. Everything else is separation's illusion. So, did that get it for you? So, as we're breathing in the prana, and we're energizing our whole being, helping. So why do we fear helping when we want to? Well, the fear is the separation, right? The fear is, anytime you feel fear, it's your separation from love's co-creation. And that separation gets us feeling this lacking, that something's missing. And there is, love's co-creation. And that's why we get addicted to things. We feel this hole in our heart, and we do drugs, we overeat, we do alcohol, cigarettes. All of those things are an attempt to artificially substitute love into that hole. That hole is the lacking of love through our ego separation. So we're still breathing, that 20%. So you can multitask. You can meditate and chat, because your chat is being elevated. You're asking sentient questions rather than, hey, how you doing? Nice shoes. You're actually in the flow. You are entering state. of consciousness, right? And as you breathe in that 20% and breathe out the 30%, you breathe out 30% because makes it a lot easier to take in that 20% when you empty your lungs. And by breathing out like that, you get rid of more toxins. And Ruth RBG, who just had her lungs ripped open and cancer taken out, she wasn't breathing good enough. I mean, she's 80 something. She's really trying there. That girl is she's trying to do the right thing. She's not retiring. She's not letting her maladies get the better of her. She knows she's not leaving until her job is done. Not the job, but her job, right? And she's leading by example. That's why she's there. She's not there to represent the liberal point of view. No, she is there to lead by example. And that's why our government hasn't collapsed. No, this whole world is unbelievably corrupt. And if you knew the depths of it, and I'm showing you how to go through all these doors, so you will see the depths. And that's why I keep saying you have to have a master with you when you go through these doors. You can't just go through them willy-nilly on your own. And first off, you won't be able to open them. The master has to put their hand on the door to open it. So that's a safeguard. And even if you try and you think you're entering it, that's an illusion. And then you're susceptible to, lots of boogeymans and things that go, bump in the night. And so when we illuminate ourselves through our breath, and that prana goes into our body through our blood by going, into our lungs first and then flowing, first, instead of blub, 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 the blood, it swirls around the walls of the arteries and the veins and the capillaries. And then inside of that, there's another flow going counterclockwise. And inside of that, another one going clockwise. And what that is the polyphase alternating current being generated in a scalar frequency. And that's why we are an avatar. And that's, we're just a bag of water, really. And with some, an ugly bag of water, got a few minerals in there. And otherwise, we'd just be like, sitting on the floor, gushy, if the prana wasn't animating us. And that current, if it stayed inside of us, we would boil over, right? So we are grounded through our chi. So it goes right through us. And that's why there's this connection from all the way up, all the way through our crown chakra, and all the way into Mother Earth, from Father Sky into Mother Earth. And that's why our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil, as it was in the beginning, is now, ever shall be, world without end. Amen. And then every day we take the peace of the earth and make it stronger with our Mother Earth. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for our sinners now, the hour of death. Amen. Now, these aren't Christian. These aren't Catholic prayers. These are shamanic ceremonies when we say this. It creates certain octaves and sounds and breaths that cleanse our body and protect us. Both of these are protective. You ever get in a real tight spot, man, say the Lord's Prayer. It'll put like a protective bubble. But you also have to be there not as some schmucky ego moron, but there to serve the betterness of all our relations. So, here we are, and we see ourselves illuminated in our imaginary mirror. That white light is shining out, and we're taking that white light, and we are illuminating our Akashic record, our library. Our subconscious in the scary place, it's a library, right? So one, your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You're no longer in your avatar. You're sitting in a comfortable place or on a bed or someplace safe, so you won't fall over. No, if you have to come right back, you can. But for now, you're walking into your library. See it clearly. And you walk into your library, and there's your reading table in front of you, and your reading chair, and to your left is your librarian. Bow with grace and thanks. See your librarian clearly. Bow to your animal totem that's to the left of your librarian. Again, bow with grace and gratitude, and see your animal totem clearly. And to the left of your animal totem is your guardian angel. Again, bow with grace and gratitude. You sit down at your reading table, and your librarian brings your Akashic record and puts it in front of you. You open it up, and there's 2 blank pages, right? And you take your right hand and put it on the right page, and your left hand on the left page, and you kind of lean into it. And by doing so, you are pouring all of the anxiety, the fear, the hate, all of the negative feelings you may have, on the surface or deep-seated, from today when somebody cut you off driving or flipped you the bird, or deeper in from your past lives. Take all of that troubled feelings and you place it in the book. Then you close the cover. Boom. And you are like a feather. You're light. Those feelings are no longer weighing you down. Now you can go back and at your own convenience, look at those issues. And they're no longer dark or sticky or scary or angry or, any of the above negative feelings, because they have been taken out of you and put in your Akashic record. And you can look at them and say, oh, look at that. That's why that happened. And you have 28 little screens around the big screen, and they give you every perspective. So you can see what, that you can't see by just using your, 4 limited senses. See that clearly. And 1, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation now in your library, your Akashic record, and you're with your guides, your librarian, your animal totem, and your guardian angel. And in front of you is a big fireplace, gigantic hearth. And in the flame is the eternal flame. And it's blue, and it's, flickering and big. It's like a big, big flame. And in the center of that is a gold stream, and in center of that is a gold white stream. See it clearly. And that's the eternal flame. And that fireplace is made out of not bricks, but Akashic records. And that's how indestructible your soul is. It's fed by the eternal flame. See it clearly. And so we're going to, go to the mystery school. We're going to go through the doorway of the mystery school, right? And we need a master to take us there. So you're looking at the fireplace, and from the fireplace, big puff of smoke and flame and sparks, and out walks a great master. And the great master that walks out today is Jesus of Nazareth, because he was one of the greatest magicians. He was not, the Prince of Peace. He believed in love's co-creation, but he was what is known as a zealot. And if you look at the derivation of the word zealot, Hebrew to Sumerian, it means terrorist of hate. Meaning, hate, it's going to make hate be full of terror because it knows love's come to get it. And that's how we have to deal with all of these seeming troubles or enemies or monsters. We have to love them. We have to be the terrorist of love, bringing love in this very more, beyond belief. We are leading by example, and that was why Rome was so terrified of Jesus, because he was leading by example. He wasn't, you know, pushing. He wasn't a vacuum cleaner salesman, He wasn't pushing a dogma or a belief structure or a business plan. Not really. So here's Jesus walking towards you, and Jesus is smiling at you. And see Jesus as you see Jesus, not as you know, the missile or the, catechism book. This isn't the Jesus of a textbook. This is the Jesus that's relating to you, that's coming through the chimney of love's one love, love's co-creation. So see Jesus of Nazareth as he is to you, not as he is to some textbook. See it clearly. And Jesus comes over to you and gives you a big hug and kisses you on each cheek, and then puts his arm around you and walks you over to the third door, the door of the mystery school. Then he locks his arm around your arm, you're now arm in arm, and you walk up to the doorway, and Jesus puts his left hand on the door, and the door becomes the event horizon between your library and the universe of the mystery school. So Jesus looks at you, you look at Jesus, he smiles, and he again leads by example and takes a step through the event horizon of the mystery school, and you're arm in arm, so you go right through. I'm going to be quiet now, and you're going to experience the mystery school with Jesus of Nazareth. See it clearly. And two, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your body, your avatar, is totally relaxed. You are no longer in your avatar. You have illuminated yourself through your breath. You have cleansed your body with the flow of the prana and the grounding of your chi. You have illuminated your imaginary mirror and taken that energy of dream time. Your imaginary mirror is your eyelids, where you have REM sleep, where you experience dream time. And you've taken that light, that illumination of love co-creation, and you've illuminated your subconscious, not the scary place, but the library of your Akashic record. You've gone in, you sat down, your librarian brought your Akashic record, you used it to cleanse your spiritual self. You've emptied the fear, anger, anxiety, hatred from your soul and your consciousness, and out of the fireplace of the eternal flame, Jesus of Nazareth has come and taken you by the arm and taken you to the third door of the mystery school. His left hand touched the door and it became the event horizon, and you and Jesus had walked through the event horizon and are now in the land of the mystery school. And I'm going to be quiet again, and you will experience a 2-week vacation in the mystery school. You'll go to the library, you'll go to classes, lectures, you'll be shown things, and you will be with Jesus. And Jesus is, like I said, one of the greatest of all magicians of the mystery school. So it's like his school. See it clearly. And you are arm in arm with the headmaster of the mystery school. So see it clearly. This is a time where A, you will learn a great deal. B, you will understand that you can go there anytime you want. This is one of the doorways. Once you become a true adept of your library, then it'll be safe for you to go there. But you'll always go, you will never go through any of these doors without your master. And I am just your sensei, Bob. I am not your master. That's, I'm here to serve. And you are here to learn to serve. Oh. So I'm going to be quiet now, and you're going to have a really amazing experience. And the best student is the one who thinks with intent and speaks with questions of depth, honesty, and love. So these 2 weeks that you're going to be with Jesus as your master at the, mystery school, you're going to learn a lot. And it's going to be like put into you via muscle memory. It's not like, oh, did I forget that? No, this is like muscle memory, right? And the muscle is love's co-creation. See it clearly. And 2, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your body, your avatar, is totally at rest. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. And you've taken that breath to illuminate yourself in your imaginary mirror. And you've taken that light to walk into your subconscious, which is your library of your Akashic record. You have used the Akashic record to empty yourself of fear, hatred, anger, anxiety. And with that open heart, you have let Jesus of Nazareth into your heart. You have, in essence, been born again, because every time you walk through one of the 9 doors, you're being born again. And remember, you can only get through those doors when you are being ushered in with your master. See it clearly. And now you've just had 2 weeks of your experience, right? A vacation with Jesus of Nazareth in the mystery school, the school of mysteries. And you've learned a great deal, and you've internalized that knowledge into your muscle memory of love's co-creation. Not your ego, not your id, not the Rolodex of your squirrel cage. No, in your heart. And I have not described anything or yes, the 9 doors represent the levels of consciousness. And also, they are representative of the tree of life, because in Kabbalah, the tree of life is a mathematical formula. It's a geometric shape, and that's what pretty much all the Sitchins are. And this has a lot to do with the mystery schools, and also has a lot to do with the 8 kings of magic and death. These are all interconnected, you know, and you have to master all of them, right? Now you're starting out in these 9 doors as Padawans. And that's why you always have to be accompanied by a master. And as you go deeper and deeper into this, you can stay with the same master. I mean, you really can't beat Jesus of Nazareth as the master accompanying you into the mystery schools, because he is that's his school. So it's like having Dumbledore as and you're Harry Potter, right? So it's that same relationship. But you're going to be doing this for a long time. You're going to be going into state and going into your library and using your Akashic record as that's your main tool. In that book, you can see anything about your soul, any event that you had, any trouble, any sorrow, any great, thing. It's all there, and it's all in a perspective that you can look at without having your hormones telling you what to look at. You have your empathy and not the prejudice of your hormones, right? See that clearly. And I'm going to assign you one little experience with Jesus of Nazareth, that in the mystery school on the campus, there's a beautiful little lake, right? And you're going to walk down to the lake, and there's going to be a sailboat, right? And it's be a cat, and that is a beautiful wooden, single-bodied, single-mast, large centerboard, big tiller sailboat, and you're going to go sailing with Jesus of Nazareth, right? And you're going to be at the tiller, and Jesus is going to be in the back on skis. And when you hit the wind, he's going to be having a great time water skiing behind the sailboat, right? But when you hit one of those doldrums, when there's not a breeze to have and you go dead in the water, Jesus is going to be back there kind of dog paddling it. But, he can walk on water, so it's not a big deal. And he's just happy to be there because that's Jesus's attitude. He's just always got a smile on his face, right? Even though he's a zealot of love, of love's co-creation. And we all know what a zealot is, right? So He's a love terrorist. That's what Jesus Christ of Nazareth is, right? And there were many other Nazareans. And these folks were not people who like came from Nazarene was a little town that had a cul-de-sac that Jesus lived on. No, it was representation. Nazareans were these zealots who basically were adepts of the mystery schools, right? But the mystery schools that were based on love's co-creation, not on Satan's light of illumination. And it's just like they're so close, just like Blavatsky and Rudolf Steiner, just so close, but very different. But if you don't stay on board, you can easily fall over and get wet. So I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to have a beautiful, amazing sailboat ride with Jesus of Nazareth, water skiing behind you. And this little trip is going to take 3 weeks, and you're going to be taking your sailboat all over the lake, and the lake is quite large, and there are all kinds of lands of, the mystery school that you can learn things, different types of people, different types of feelings, experiences. And with Jesus as your, water skier behind you, and you land at these places, you can get off and walk around, and pretty much he drips dries pretty quick. So I'm going to be quiet, and you're going to have an extraordinary sailboat vacation with Jesus of Nazareth. See you clearly, and remember this. Remember this. See it clearly. And 3, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. You are no longer in your avatar. Your body is safe and at rest. And when you come back, you will feel unbelievably rejuvenated, relaxed, centered, happy, totally, amazingly, completely in a state of bliss. Feel that right now. And you've just had a beautiful 3-week vacation with Jesus of Nazareth in a sailboat with you at the tiller and Jesus water skiing behind. And you've had many amazing experiences where you've landed your sailboat and both you and Jesus have walked and met people and had experiences. And again, you are learning a tremendous amount with your Master Jesus Christ. And it is being internalized in muscle memory. You will not forget any of this. See it clearly. And the more you go into state and use the energy of the prana to energize your actions, you will ascend all the way through your chakras. In this year of 2018, you will make more spiritual growth than you have in the last 20 lifetimes of your incarnations. And you will be able to truly serve all of your relations. See it clearly. And you have all of the help you need in your library. So just simply closing your eyes, breathing 20%, and quieting the squirrel in your head, you will not only cleanse, heal your avatar, you will connect it, bring the connective tissue to your conscious, and which will bring you into a total wholeness and not separation with love's co-creation. See it strongly. And now you're getting out of the boat, and Jesus is taking you by the arm, and you're walking towards the event horizon, and you see your library on the other side, and you see your guide standing at the doorway, and they've been there the whole time, energetically assisting Jesus, protecting you, opening you, giving you insights. And this is all done in a cerebral, telepathic kind of way. Yes, you can hear voices of all your guides and Jesus, but you can also feel that knowledge, again, being delivered to every mitochondrial cell of your consciousness. See it clearly. Now you're walking through the doorway and entering your library, and Jesus still has your arm, and you bow to your librarian with grace and humility, and you bow to your animal totem with grace and humility, and you bow with to your guardian angel with grace and humility. And now feel the totality of this community of adepts and all your relations and your loving Sensei Al Bob, who cares deeply for you and always watches out for you and lets you go in every day in every way so you can take the piece of the earth and make it stronger. I'm not here to control. I'm here to be your Sensei Al Bob with love, empathy, and I lead by example. Oh. And we have been and going to and have been enjoying every moment of this. No matter how we may be a little bummed by the activities of the material world that we seem to be stuck in at moments, this experience lifts all our boats, including your sailboat. See it clearly. And 2, you're going towards your imaginary mirror. Your conscious mind is totally focused on your breath. I'm going to count 1 3 times, and then I'm going to snap my finger, and you'll be right back in your body. You've just had an exquisite 5-week vacation, and it's only been 20 minutes here in linear time land. You in dreamy dreamland, on the other hand, have all the time in the world. See it clearly. And 1, you feel rested, relaxed, rejuvenated, sharp as a tack. You're coming back into your avatar, and your body feels balanced, healed. You have no aches, no pains, no headaches, no sinus anything, no lung anything, no blood anything. You're tip-top. You are in balance. You are the essence of ease. Everything is at ease. See it clearly. And 1, you're in a deep, deep, deep state of relaxation, going deeper and deeper. But you are aware of yourself, and you will be in this relaxed state of ease. But you're coming into your body, and you're there now mostly, totally. And you're breathing, you're feeling your breath, and you're remembering everything you went to. And when I bring you up with a snap of the fingers, we will go back to chatting, and you can Tell me your feelings and expressions of everything. And 1, you're back here now. 1 hour, 55 minutes, and 5 seconds. So, kind of stretch things out a little bit. Maybe sit up or stay lie down or stretch or do anything that gets you more and more and more connected to your avatar. And still, you are muscle memory conscious of everything that you experienced. So Galaxy Tab, how you feel? Mr. Reb, how do you feel? Dragon, how do you feel? Rhonda? Research, what's up? Well, when you say I don't know, that's really a smart thing to say. When people say, so what about, do you know, I don't know. That's one of the more honest answers. When I hear someone tell me they don't know, I know they're thinking, I know they're not just being glib. So empty. What got emptied? The garbage, to make space for something better in a good way. Yeah, empty in a good way. That's what I'm talking about. Empty's not bad because something better can come into it. Peace. Empty and peace are almost synonymous in a very interesting theological way. And that's what we're doing here, We parse every word, We are shamanic, psychosocial, forensic. We take things apart. Anthropologic, meaning we take our prejudicial glasses off. Alchemist, we're turning the lead of our avatar, that bag of water with trace elements, into gold or higher conscious, in connection of co-creation with love. And you're still breathing deeply, right? You all see that? You're not shallow breathing anymore. You're not mouth breathers, So, what did you see in the mystery school? What was it like being in your sailboat with Jesus of Nazareth walking behind you? What was, and see, one of the things you have to realize pretty much when you go through the doorways, everything you see is a metaphor for something else, right? That's why I started my XRATTED blogspot.com, my little publishing, Griot Press. That 3/4 of a novel. Yes, very good. Age of Aquarius, water bearing. Yep. That's why you're in the lake. Also Pisces, we're going from the Piscean age into the Aquarian. The Piscean age is the age of getting what you think you want, what you think you know through force. To the Aquarian age is where you don't know anything, but you are ready to serve the process to understanding through love. So one of the little metaphors of the sailboat, right? And so there you were zipping along with a good breeze, and Jesus is water skiing behind you, and then you hit the doldrums, no breeze, right? Everything stops. Jesus is back there floating with his skis on, And how do you get out of that? How do you get out of that? Well, you have to tack. You have to find the wind and tack into it. And that's what our life's about. That is one of the major metaphors of the mystery school, is that you have to be able to tack. Water is the medium of the mystery school, you know? That's why that big lake is on the campus, you know? It's like an ocean. You went to many lands around, that was a lake, but you went to like many lands like it was an ocean. And how did you get there? Even when you hit the doldrums and there was no breeze to move you forward, you had to tack. You had to steer, navigate. Dragon, stay well, be good. Have a good holiday. I love you as I love you all. We've been here 2 hours and 1 minute and 6 seconds. So I think we might leave at 2 hours, 2 minutes, and 22 seconds. That gives us a good minute and a half to say anything of need. Always, always with you, Dragon. I'll see you next time, tomorrow in the morning and tomorrow at night. Tab S2, it was good seeing you again and seeing you for being right there, stepping up. You stepped up great tonight. Guys, hit the little thumbs up a little bit more often. I'd like to get a few more folks here. I mean, I'm all for quality over quantity, but and we got all the time in the world. I've only been doing this since May. And when spring comes, we're going to have some fun. And I'm going to try and see, anybody in America wants to come and get me, take me someplace warmer. I'll jump in your trunk. So I love you all. We've gone past. Yeah, I started talking and I blink and a minute and a half goes by. So I'll see you all tomorrow morning around 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Sometimes when I got to get up early. I got to take JB to the airport. So sometime in the morning. And around 7-ish, I'm pretty good at being able to hit the nickel at 7 p.m. my time. But I'm always there with you all the time. And as you are experiencing these things in the muscle memory of your psyche and your consciousness, we can start in dream time, which is any time, communicating telepathically through synchronicity. When you look up and you see 1111, you know that I'm thinking of you, right? 1111, you know I'm thinking of 1212, 222. That's what I'm talking about. Okay, gang. I love you guys. Oh, let's see, 2 hours. I started at 7, so yeah, it's about 9 o'clock, 9 p.m., give or take. He is Eastern. Yes, I'm Eastern. Eastern USA. So, gang, good night, sweet dreams. Good night, sweet dreams. Later, rap. Later, y'all. It's about that time.